let's kind of transition over to cross country. So I'm sure you're probably surprised that, whoa, they have college cross country on TV. Yeah, they do, and it's not very often. Usually, colleges will have cross country races on ESPN for the biggest meets of the year. The smaller ones at the beginning of the year, those usually aren't televised on national TV, just because no one really cares, and football season pretty top of the line and more important around that time of the year. So they only show the championship races, being like conference championship cross country for men and women, and the national championship. And that's what I watched this weekend. I watched the women's race. They run a 4K, which is a little over 3 miles. I think it's 3.5, closer to 4. And then I watched the men's 10K, which is roughly a little over 6 miles. I think it's 6.25 miles. I could be wrong, but long distance racing and some interesting things I've saw. So bear with me if you don't watch cross country, and I'm naming a bunch of names you probably never heard of. But I'll make sure I'll break it down for you. So watching the women's race, this race also takes place in Stillwater, Oklahoma, and I was kind of surprised to see that it was pretty chilly that day. It was the morning of, on Saturday, and I think the gun temperature, or the temperature it was when the starting gun went off, was like 30 degrees, maybe 33. There were some chilly runners on there, and being Oklahoma, I was surprised it was that chilly. So the women's race started first. Parker Valby from Florida had a dominant lead in the first half of the race, but all eyes were on Caitlin Toohey from North Carolina State. She has been on the national stage many times. She's only a sophomore, but she's had national attention since high school and is arguably one of the most decorated runners in high school history. She's a national championship 3 times. She has won Gatorade Female Cross Country Athlete of the Year 3 times. It's kind of like the MVP of cross country or track running when you're in high school. It's like you're the best of the best 3 years in a row for this sort of thing. So everyone is all eyes on her, and Parker Valby is no scrub. She got 26th place last year in the same race, but we were definitely waiting for something to happen later in the race. So, like with Valby, she likes to challenge everybody, kind of like Steve Prefontaine back when he ran in Oregon when he was around. She wants people to try to challenge with her. While Toohey, she's more tactical, and that's why she didn't really go with her in the beginning along with the rest of the field. Kelsey Chanel was right behind Toohey. She is Toohey's teammate. And in the final K, it started to solidify as a great team position for North Carolina State, and followed by the New Mexico women's team. The only thing that was keeping New Mexico from being in first was their 5th runner. So those of you who don't know how scoring works, it's kind of like golf where the lowest score wins. And how you place is what your score is going to be. So if you're in first place, your team gets 1 point. So the lower your overall score is with your first 5 runners, the better your chance of winning the cross country meet. And the 5th runner is huge in things like this when it's such a competitive race. And New Mexico's runner didn't close on that, and that's what kind of made it difficult for them to get that first place position. What's really cool about this race is that they have a very cool finish to it. There's a final 200, and it's downhill from there, and that's when you really release that kick to really catch up if you need to play catch up. And you can probably guess, Caitlin Toohey definitely closed and just finished it off and beat Parker Valby. She took the lead in the final 400, and she won the race in 19 minutes and 27 seconds. I'm sorry. I said 4K earlier. I meant to say 6K for women's cross country. Caitlin had a very good season. She won the Wisconsin Nutty Combine, Nutty Comb 6K cross country race. She won the ACC cross country conference championship. And in that same race, she set a new course record, which was 19 minutes and 8 seconds. So to translate that, that's a little over 5-minute miles for a woman. So very, very badass girl, if you ask me, in terms of how competitive she is. So as a result, North Carolina State wins the meet with 114 total points. It's the best finish in program history, and that makes them back-to-back champs because they won it last year as well. They interviewed Parker Valby, who got second. Sure, she led the entire race. She finished second overall. But when they interviewed, she was in very good spirits and was very happy to beat her previous position. And she should be, because as long as you're having fun out there and you're being the best version of yourself on the course, then that's a win right there. So I'm glad that she wasn't too hard on herself, that she didn't win the whole thing. So then we transition over to the men's race. NAU, North Arizona University, is back-to-back winners. They won in 2020 and 2021. But Stanford was favored to win this going into the meet. So the favorites going into winning the race as an individual were NAU's Nico Young, BYU's Casey Klinger, Oklahoma State's Alex Mayer, and Stanford's runner Charlie Hicks. The start of the race is very important in my opinion, because you all start at the same time and then you're all stuck in a pack and there's just people everywhere. This is the part where you kind of look around to see where your teammates are at and where the top guys are at and kind of see how good a position you're in and what you need to be doing moving forward. So Nico and his teammate Drew Bosley and Charlie Hicks, they took the lead. It was just those three for a little bit of the race. Not a huge distance from the pack, but a very dominating start. Followed by that was Hicks' Stanford teammate Kai Robinson, who's right behind them in fourth place. Young and Hicks started to pull away from the pack in the final K. They started to kind of sped it up. Okay, now let's really get this race going. And right behind them, there was a separate pack of runners that included Casey Klinger and two Oklahoma State runners. That includes Alex Mayer and his teammate Isaiah Rodriguez. At the end of the race, it was a kick race just like in the other one. Charlie Hicks outkicks Nico Young for the title, and he sets a course record of 28 minutes and 43 seconds. This is a 10K race. And what's really interesting is, like, they were chatting about it in the coverage. He has his own YouTube channel, so it's kind of cool to see, like, a runner have, like, a social media influence on YouTube. So I'll have to check out his content because it sounds like he's pretty popular. And this was really awesome to see. So in the first time in the history of college cross country national title, that is, there was a tie for first between NAU and Oklahoma State. The tiebreaker is usually who is the best six runner, but they didn't go by that. Instead, it's how the top five of each team did head to head. So NAU's number 1, number 2, and number 4 best runners beat Oklahoma State's. So that gave them the 3-2 tiebreaker edge. So to kind of simplify a little bit more, if you were to pair up the number 1 runner for both teams, this first, second, and fourth were better than the other team's runners. Therefore, that's 3 out of the 5. So that breaks the tie, which is why they won 3-2 in this tiebreaker. So NAU got first, Oklahoma State got second, BYU got third, and Stanford got fourth. And this is a pretty interesting thing, is that kind of like the Chicago Bulls, NAU has won its 6th title, and they did it within the last 6-7 years. That's crazy. So they only missed one title once. So if they would have won that one year that they lost, they would have had 6 straight titles. That's just unbelievable. Charlie Hicks and Nico Young are only sophomores, and I'm so excited to see them face off some more, because they got at least another 2 years to just keep on battling. So I want to see these guys again next year when I watch this race.